Heya, heya, see below. Heya, heya, storm wind blow.
Chapter 11. The Farbound Sail. Tavaro did not follow the veils down the lower road. He told himself this twice. Then he chose the road above them, which was not the same thing unless a person cared about honesty. He left the workhouse wall with his right wrist pressed against his ribs, and his left shoulder dragging along stone whenever the path narrowed. Blood wanted to fall. His body wanted to stop. The standing medicine had gone thin enough that pain had begun speaking in its own voice again. Not loudly, yet clearly. The workhouse stayed lit behind him. He did not look back. A man with dignity would have walked toward open dark. Tavaro found a drainage cut behind Smokehouse Lane instead, climbed it badly, and reached the old watch rock above the harbour, with one knee, one hand, and several sounds no song would keep. The harbour opened below. The workhouse sat high behind him, tucked above the healer's garden and the cold courtyard stones. Smokehouse Lane ran beneath it, thick with fish racks, hearth ash, and people too frightened to sleep. The lower market sprawled below the lane, baskets and clay stalls pushed aside for water lines. Past the market, the main pier thrust into the inner harbour. The shallow dock curved left, crowded with small boats and worse choices. Beyond all of it, the reef gate cut the harbour mouth into a black notch. Past the outer reef, dawn waited on dangerous water. The Farbound filled everything between. They had not stopped, because Oren was dead. Grief had slowed them. Senara had not allowed it more. Tavaro crouched behind the watch rock and watched her take the pier. She came down from the workhouse with the root staff wrapped in plain cloth, the survey kit against her hip, and Oren's blood still dark under the straps of her sandals. Lapo walked beside her with a slate under one arm, a water tally in the other hand, and his father's name tablet tucked beneath the bandage on his palm. Reva came on Senara's other side, with rope over one shoulder, a knife at her belt, and a face that made men step out of her way before they remembered why. Maru had already made the harbour work. Captain Maru stood on the main pier, where 3 water lines crossed. Her grey-black braid had come loose at one temple. A red cord wrapped her wrist. She held a horn in one hand and a deck knife in the other. The nearest water line faltered. Maru slapped the side of a cask. On the pull. Not before it. The next jar moved cleanly. Tavaro rested his forehead against the rock. He had seen armies collapse with more banners and fewer useful people. Senara reached the main pier stone. The crowd turned toward her, not all at once, not cleanly. Work still moved in pockets. A jar passed hand to hand. A goat complained from a half-built cage. Someone shouted for more cord, but attention found her and gathered. She waited until the last jar in the nearest line reached its cradle. Then she spoke. Oren Weil is dead. The harbour took the words. They travelled across planks, over hulls, through the shallow dock, into the market lanes. Tavaro watched faces receive them again. Some for the first time, some as confirmation, some as a wound reopened because hearing death beside ships made both larger. He was killed tonight in the root house, Senara said, by Tavaro of the Thar Wake. No one looked up at the watch rock. Tavaro pressed his bleeding wrist harder against his side. A boy, near the shallow dock, began to sob. A man beside him lifted a spear, then lowered it when Maru's horn pointed at his face. "Crate first," Maru said. The man stared at her. "Crate," she repeated. He tied the crate. Senara did not soften. No one leaves post to hunt Tavaro. No one draws blood for Oren while water still needs counting. Anyone who wants vengeance more than a boarding place can go inland now. The harbour held still. Then Reva crossed to a loose jar frame and kicked one crooked wedge back into place. The sound cracked against the pier. Work resumed. Senara turned to the nearest captain. Those paired fishing boats at the shallow dock do not sail. The captain's mouth opened. Senara pointed at the reef gate. They will hold inside the harbour and split in cross swell. Empty them. They are loaded, then unload them. Oren said, Oren is dead. The captain shut his mouth. Lapo moved behind Senara, slate against his forearm. His voice came rough, but steady. Families from those boats split by water and ladder. Mother Vasa to the second deep hull. She cannot take the lead ladder. The Sen twins go with Maru's crew. One of the Sen twins protested. Lapo did not look up. You bail well and fight badly. Move. Reva made a sound through her nose. Not laughter. Close enough to hurt. Tavaro watched Lapo's hands, counting hands. Workhouse hands, though they were not Senara's. His fingers moved over knots and names, water and bodies, grief and bad placement, not prophecy, not a boy lost to green light. A man doing necessary work with his jaw clenched hard enough to break teeth. Oren had used that. Senara was using it too. The difference lay in her eyes when she looked at him. She saw the cost. She held up a strip of dried fruit between orders until he took it. Lapo chewed once, stopped, then swallowed, because Reva had turned around. Good. No, nothing simple remained. A horn sounded from the shallow dock. A boom had come loose on the second deep hull. Tavaro saw it before most below did. The line frayed, the spar swinging too low over a cluster of people carrying water jars up the gangplank. Maru saw it next. She moved before command could become language. Down! The boy under the spar looked up instead. Maru shoved him flat with one hand. The boom struck her across the temple. The crack reached Tavaro through harbour noise and open air. The waterline broke. Maru went to one knee. Blood ran down the side of her face, into the red cord at her throat. The boy lay stunned beneath her hand, alive and wide-eyed. For one breath, everyone watched blood. Then Maru spat into the harbour and lifted two fingers. Wrong place to stop. Her voice came rougher. On the pull, no answer. Reva was already there. She cut a strip from the edge of her own sleeve with the shell-handled knife and shoved Maru's hand away from the wound. Hold still. I am commanding. You are leaking. Do not tie it pretty. I never tie pretty. Reva wrapped the cloth around Maru's head, hard and fast. The knot she tied was small, flat, and mean against the skull. Maru hissed. Backward. It holds. Maru looked at her. Reva looked back. Maru raised her voice again. On the pull. Not before it. This time, the line answered. The chant returned in pieces, then found itself. Maru stood. Reva kept one hand on the knot, until Maru swatted her away. Go frighten someone else, Maru said. They are busy frightening me. Then help. Reva took the nearest water jar and shoved it into the line. Tavaro looked down at his own hands. One opened, one bled. The harbour worked without him. Not perfectly, not safely, not cleanly, but it worked. That wounded him worse than idleness should. Senara climbed onto the main pier stone again. She lifted the wrapped root staff just high enough for the cloth to show. Green pressed through one seam and touched her knuckles. She shifted her grip until the light narrowed. Listen. They listened, not because the staff told them. Tavaro could feel the difference from the rock. The root staff waited behind her command, cool and eager. But the harbour listened to Senara because her voice had bandaged their children, named their fevers, refused their foolishness, and told them when a body had no breath left. Mortal authority, harder to sing about, harder to fake. Any person aboard these ships may step off now, she said. You will receive water, food, if food can be spared. No shame from my gate, the harbour murmured. The root staff brightened. Senara struck its wrapped end against the pier stone. The light thinned. No shame, she repeated. No song made of it either. Step down or stay aboard. Do not make either one pretty. A man climbed down from an outrider. His wife followed with a baby held against her chest. The man began to weep before his feet reached the dock. No one touched him. That was kindness, perhaps, or exhaustion. A girl came next, carrying an ancestor mask in both hands. An old man refused to descend until his grandson whispered something to him. Then he climbed down backward, cursing every rung and everyone who owned eyes. Another woman stood on the second deep hull and said, I sail. Her mother on the pier covered her mouth. The choices began moving through the fleet. I sail. I stay. I cannot. I must. I am afraid. So am I. Maru kept the lines open while they spoke. Those leaving. Left side. She rasped. Those staying aboard. Sit where told. Do not block water. Senara waited until the last person climbed down. Not many. Enough. Lapo marked the changes. His charcoal broke. He stared at the snapped piece in his hand, as if it had insulted the dead. Reva put another into his fingers. Right, he wrote. Tavaro watched a little boy climb off a guide boat and run into the arms of a woman on the dock. The woman held him too tightly. He complained. She did not loosen. Something in Tavaro's chest shifted. He had come to the harbor, thinking the choice was fleet or no fleet. Senara had found smaller doors inside it. He had never been good at small doors. The root staff flashed once. People turned. Senara's jaw tightened. Oren's route remains marked, she said. The root staff will be carried. It will not command. The cloth around the staff stirred. Senara tightened her grip. Maru leads the first deep hull, she said. I handle medicine and crossing order. Lapo keeps names, sick marks, and water changes. Lapo looked at her. His mouth opened, then closed. Senara did not look back at him. Reva handles food on the lead hull. Reva lifted her head. Do the first. You already moved half the jars and frightened 2 families into eating. They were standing near food and pretending hunger was discipline. Then continue. Reva wiped Maru's blood from her wrist. Fine. Senara turned toward the fleet. No child boards without a waistline. No sick body goes below without a marker. No one sleeps against a water jar. If you pray while holding rope, keep pulling. Maru gave a hoarse laugh. That one goes in a song. No, Senara said. Too late. A little sound moved through the harbor. Not comfort, not forgiveness, breath. The final loading began. It took longer than dawn wanted. The sky paled above the outer reef, while people kissed door lintels, pressed hands to pier stones, argued over bowls, surrendered heirlooms, retrieved children from under carts, and learned what they had forgotten only after it was too late to go back easily. Tavaro saw a woman take 3 steps toward a ship, stop, turn, and run back into the lower market. She returned with a cracked clay cup, fever cup perhaps, or a father's cup, or nothing important to anyone else. She tucked it into her bundle like a heart. He saw 2 brothers divide fishing spears. One laughed too loudly. The other did not laugh at all. He saw Maru teach a deck line to take her count on the pull. Not before it, the line answered, stronger each time. He saw Reva tie a child's waistline, untie it, tie it again, and then tug hard enough that the child yelped. Good, she said. If you can complain, you are attached. The child stared at her. Eat this, Reva added, and shoved a strip of hard fruit into his hand. He ate it. Tavaro touched the child mark through his torn tunic. I know, he whispered. The mark warmed beneath his fingers. Do not be pleased. I have not done anything. It warmed again. Very rude of it. Senara boarded and unboarded 3 times, each time dragged back by another complaint, wound, or stupidity. On the 4th attempt, Lapo met her at the gangplank and took the healer's chest from her. She let him. That nearly made Tavaro look away. Then she put the chest back into his arms more securely, adjusted the strap across his bandaged hand, and said something too low for even Tavaro to catch. Lapo looked down. Reva appeared behind him and shoved a food bundle against his ribs. Eat before you faint into someone important. I ate. You chewed once. I swallowed. Your standards have lowered. Lapo looked at the bundle. The name tablet beneath his bandage must have pressed into his palm. Tavaro saw the way his fingers flexed around nothing. Reva saw too. She touched his wrist. Not the bandage, not the tablet. The wrist, above both. Bring that hand back, she said. Lapo's mouth trembled. All of you, if possible, Reva added. He made a broken sound. Not quite a laugh. Not quite enough. She shoved the bundle harder into his chest. Go. He went. Reva watched him for only one breath before following, because she had said she would follow her children, and Reva did not say such things for decoration. The harbor bells rang once, then twice. Maru raised the horn, bored final. The words crossed the water and ended the last little lies. People moved. Those staying on shore stepped back. Those leaving gripped gangplanks. Children cried again, because endings improved nothing with repetition. The goat that had been chewing its cage tried to escape, and nearly took 3 future pioneers with it. Reva caught the cage rope and gave the goat a look. The goat stopped. Tavaro felt a brief respect for the animal. The lead, deep hull pushed away first. Not far, a body, width. Then 2. Ropes held it near, while the second and third hulls prepared. Oars dipped. Sailcloth shifted. Maru stood at the stern, with blood-dark cloth wrapped around her head, and her red cord lifted in her fist. A sound rose from the island, not cheering. No one had the heart for cheering. It was song, old Sulari leaving song, older than Tavaro's first island, older perhaps than the harbor itself. A song for fishing crews who might not return, for dead carried to outer reefs, for children married to far shores. Those staying sang first. Then some aboard joined. The voices did not align. Grief had ruined the rhythm. That made it better, or worse, or simply true. Tavaro knew the words. He had heard them from above storms, from outside houses, from beaches where he was not invited to stay. The sea takes. The hand opens. The name remains. He mouthed the last line without sound. The second deep hull moved. Then the third. Outriders followed in pairs, no longer lashed foolishly. Guide boats took positions Tavaro would have corrected, then saw Maru shouting and corrected them before he had time to be angry. Good. Maru might survive long enough to terrify the eastern continent. Senara boarded last. Tavaro felt the moment before it came. She stood at the pier edge with the rootstaff in one hand and her healer's chest in the other. Lapo waited on the lead ship, one hand extended to her. His face had emptied itself into resolve. Senara looked back toward the hill, toward the workhouse, toward Oren's body, toward the road where Tavaro could not stand. Her gaze passed near the watch rock. For one impossible breath, Tavaro thought she saw him. He shrank back, not from fear, from shame, which had always been quicker. Senara's eyes remained on the hill a moment longer. Then she turned and took Lapo's hand. Brother and sister stood together on the deck. Damaged, yes. Torn, yes. The bond between them had not broken. It had changed shape around the dead. Reva stood behind them, one hand on a food crate, one hand on a waistline, eyes already searching the deck for the next person who thought grief excused foolishness. The lead hull opened water between itself and the pier, a body, width, an arm's reach, then more. Those staying behind kept singing until voices failed. Then they stood with mouths closed and hands empty. Tavaro stayed behind the watch rock. He should leave them. Senara had barred the workhouse. Lapo had named what he was. Reva had closed the gate. The Farbound had chosen again after being offered a way down. The sea beyond the reef would not care. That was the knife. He could honor their choice and feed them to the more deep. He could protect them and risk becoming the shadow they fled. He laughed once. The sound hurt his ribs enough to fold him against the rock. Excellent, he told the sky. Well-built problem. Very sturdy. The child mark pulsed. I am aware. It pulsed again. No useful complaints then. The mark warmed. Tavaro closed his eyes. He could follow in a boat. No, every boat left in the harbor belonged to someone who would watch him take it. And stealing from people whose profit he had murdered seemed socially narrow. He could swim, with venom in the thigh, torn wrist, broken ribs, blood loss, and a body that had begun collecting consequences like festival beads. Charming, he could call whale and move beneath the fleet. They would see shadow, panic, and throw spears at one another. Shark would be worse. Beetle would arrive sometime next year, if eaten by a girl. Hawk. Senara had said no mark unless death was in the room. Tavaro looked at the sea, beyond the outer reef. "The room is large," he said. The child Mark burned. He took the rebuke in silence. For once he deserved even the small ones. "This is not obedience," he said. The burn eased by the smallest degree. "I will keep high. No shadow on their sails. No guidance unless teeth are in the wood. No praise, no thanks, no debt." The mark stayed hot. He swallowed. "No pretending I am not following." Warmth came slowly then, mixed with warning. Presence, not permission. He pulled his tunic loose from his shoulders. The hawk mark lay across his back. 2 dark wing sweeps cut by old scars where Orokin's talons had tried to make him sky property. The mark usually answered before he finished wanting. It loved height. It loved clean wind. It loved the line between sea and air, because lines were roads and roads were old promises. Today it hesitated. His body was wrong for flight. Broken ribs, torn wrist, blood low, medicine thinning, shame packed beneath the breastbone where no wing could lift it. Tavaro set his left palm flat against the stone. "Come on," he whispered. "We have been worse." The mark did not answer. He thought of Oren. Nothing. He thought of Lapo standing on the pier, telling him not to follow. The mark stirred. He thought of Senara on the lead ship with the root staff wrapped like a wound at her back and a mortal medicine kit against her hip. The hawk mark burned. "So you have taste after all." His bones changed. There was no grace in it. Shoulders tore first, old scars opening into heat. His ribs folded around pain and argued with the shape. His arms narrowed, lengthened, broke into wing. The torn wrist seam folded into the right wing, carrying its wound forward instead of leaving it behind. Feathers came through skin like dark knives. His spine arched. His mouth became beak before he could curse properly. The world widened. Stone became perch. Harbor became map. People became fragile motions of heat and grief. He crouched on the watch rock in hawk shape, larger than any true hawk, smaller than the songs preferred. Morning wind moved through his feathers. His left wing trembled once from broken rib memory. His right carried a red streak near the joint. He tested both. Pain answered. Good. Pain meant the body had not stopped reporting. Below, no one on shore looked up. The fleet moved east in broken, stubborn order. Tavaro leapt. For one falling breath, nothing held him. Then wings struck air. The first beat nearly broke him. The second found wind. The third lifted him above the watch rock, above the harbor, above the workhouse, above the island he had raised and failed to understand. He climbed behind the sun glare. Higher, higher. The Farbound fleet spread below, fragile and furious, carrying Oren's route, Senara's rules, Lapo's slate, Reva's food, Maru's count, children's sleep, bad knots, better knots, and fear no one had managed to make simple. Tavaro kept his shadow off their sails. He did not fly over them like a savior. He followed far behind, where even gratitude could not find him.
First light calls, rope in hand and salt in teeth. Full jars forward, empty jars back. The old shore holds its breath beneath. Warren's name crossed every plank like blood beneath the dawn. Senara stood where grief should fall and told the work, move on. No vengeance leaves the waterline, no blade earns boarding place. If you want blood more than passage, go inland with your rage. Count the child, tie the cord, move the sick to shade. No prayer held in idle hands, no fear gets to lead. The Farbound sail past the harbor stone,
past the songs that kept them near,
past the ground here sail with the dead still near. The sea takes the hand, opens. The name remains clear. Reva brought the food bundle, hard fruit, ginger fish.
She shoved it into Lapo's chest.
Like a love with no soft wish.
Live ugly if you have to. Live wrong, live missing me.
Do not make your breathing noble.
Just bring it back from sea.
Lapo held the little knot
And broke without a sound.
Then Senara called his name again
And worked dragged grief around.
The Farbound sail
Past the harbor stone. Past the songs that kept them near.
past the ground.
He raised alone.
The Farbound sail,
With the dead still near.
the sea takes the hand, opens.
The name remains clear.
I sail,
I stay,
I cannot.
I must.
No shame at my gate.
No song made of dust.
I sail,
I stay,
I feel so.
do I.
Dawn does not pardon the one.
Ones who say goodbye.
Maru raised her blood-wrapped head and made the rope line sing.
On the pull knot before it let the water answer stream.
Reva tied the children hard and fed them through their fear.
If you can still complain at me, you are attached, my dear.
Senara lifted green-wrapped wood like warning, not like throne. And the staff may ride beside us,
But it does not own the road.
the Farbound sail
Past the harbor stone.
past the songs that kept them near.
Past the ground he raised alone.
The Farbound sail,
With the dead still near.
the sea takes the hand, opens.
The name remains clear.
High above the harbor mouth,
Tavaro watched unseen
he could raise the black reef shut.
to lock them inside green.
A wall of love, a perfect curse,
Strong enough to save.
beautiful as shell and stone.
Cruel as any cave.
His hand into the sky bone seemed the child mark, burned him still. He saw Lapo, saw Senara,
And lowered back his will.
the Farbound sail
Past the harbor stone.
past the songs that kept them near.
Past the ground he raised alone.
The Farbound sail,
The dead still near.
the sea takes the hand, opens.